Coming to ADO.NET architecture. ADO.NET uses XML to provide disconnected access to data. When data is requested at runtime, it is passed from database to the middle tier. This data is then passed onto the presentation tier. The dataset objects contains the data that has to be transferred to various components. This data can be form of any source and in any language. ADO.NET converts the data contained in the dataset into XML format and then transfers it to various components. Also, while transferring data from one tier to another tier, ADO.NET expresses the data in XML and then transfers this data to other components. Coming to basic components of ADO.NET. ADO.NET components are designed to allow access and manipulate data in the .NET framework. ADO.NET is basically made up of two components, dataset and .NET data providers. In .NET data providers, we have connection, command, data reader, and data adapter. Now let us take a look at these components in detail. We come to dataset. Data can be retrieved from the database and directly displayed to the user through forms whenever the user places a request. Every request made by the user has to be fulfilled by fetching the data from the server. This increases the number of trips back and forth to the server. Fetching data in a group will reduce the number of trips that need to be made to the server and thereby improve the performance of the application. Additionally, many a times a group of data may need to be handled sequentially. For example, consider the calculation of per price per item in an order. The unit rate of item should be multiplied by the quantity brought for each item to get the total price. Hence, there is a need for an object that can hold the data that is fetched from the servers. Dataset serves this purpose. A dataset is an object in which the data retrieved from the database can be stored. A dataset contains one or more tables and also the relationships between them. It can be thought of as a mini relational database in which the data is kept in memory. The following example will help in understanding the working of a dataset. Consider that the client requires some data to perform a particular task. It sends a request to the server for the required data. The server populates the dataset with the required data by the help of a data adapter. Dataset is then passed on to the client. The client application modifies the data in the dataset and sends the modified dataset to the server. The server receives the dataset and modifies the data in the database. Thus, a dataset is a local copy of relational data and all operations that need to be carried out on the data are done on this local copy with no connection to the original data store. An advantage of this is that we do not need to have a continuous connection to the database. Once all the processing is complete on the local database, it is submitted to the database. So, client requests for data from this server sends the data to the dataset passes it to the client, Client modifies the datasets modifies the data passed to the server. Creating dataset using the code. To create a dataset, we need to create an instance of the dataset class. Specifying a name for the dataset is optional. If name is not specified, it will take a default name as new dataset. The following command shows how to create an instance of dataset object and name it as emp details. We say dim empds as new dataset in the bracket emp details. A dataset is automatically created when using the data form wizard to create the form. The most commonly used property of the dataset class is the tables property. The tables property represents the collection of tables called the data table collection that are present in the dataset. The data table collection has some properties and methods that can be used with each table in the collection. We have the property as item property. It represents a specific table in the data table collection. The item property can be used to access individual tables in the data table collection. The table can be accessed and passing the name of the table or by passing the index value of the table in the collection. In the methods we have add, remove and remove at. Add method is used to add a table to the data table collection. Remove method is used to remove a table from data table collection, and remove at is used to remove the table with the specified index value from data table collection. Coming to typed datasets. A typed dataset is a class that derives from a dataset. It inherits all the methods, events, and properties of the base dataset class. New dataset classes can be derived from the typed database that has been inherited from the base class. While creating a new dataset, typed datasets make use of information in the XML schema file that contains the information about the tables, rows, and columns of the dataset. A typed dataset provides strongly typed methods, events, and properties. This allows access to table and column names directly without using the collection based methods. Using a typed dataset improves the overall readability of the code as well as assists the compiler to complete the line we type automatically.